Batman Hush is widely regarded as one of the most acclaimed storylines in Batman's extensive comic book history, featuring a fairly captivating narrative that explores a large selection of villains from Batman's rogues gallery, and it introduces us to a complex antagonist known as Hush. However, when the story was adapted into an animated film, significant changes were made to the identity of Hush himself, sparking debate among fans and critics. So in this video, we're going to delve into the reasons behind the alteration, analyse its impact on the storyline, evaluate the effectiveness of the change, and examine the reactions to audiences, myself included, to this deviation from the source material. Let's get into it.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. Fear. I'm vengeance.
So let's start off by pointing out the obvious. If you have not either read Hush or seen the movie, there will be total spoilers for both coming up. So if you don't want them ruined, turn this video off now. You've been warned. So, in the comic book, Hush is revealed to be an old friend of Bruce Wayne's, Thomas Elliot. It's supposed to be a twist, but I'll be honest, it's pretty obvious all the way through. But that doesn't make the story any less enjoyable. Towards the end of the story, we learn that the Riddler had been pulling most of the strings and essentially guiding Elliot into doing what he wanted. In the animated movie, however, they completely cut out Thomas Elliot as Hush, and reveal at the end that the Riddler is in fact Hush. It's a pretty significant change. So why would they do this? And what impact does it have on the story? Let's dissect. The decision to alter the identity of the villain in the animated adaptation of Batman Hush was likely influenced by several factors. Firstly, the original storyline in the comic books relied heavily, or at least tried to, on the element of surprise, with Hush's true identity remaining a mystery all the way until the climax of the narrative. By changing the villain's identity for the film, the creators sought to subvert expectations and provide a fresh take on the story for audiences who were already familiar with the source material, meaning that there was still a big twist. And, let's be honest, probably an even bigger one. I mean, I definitely didn't see this one coming on first viewing. Additionally, the creators may have felt that the identity of Hush in the comic book was too convoluted or, well, just straight up obvious, making it difficult to translate to a standalone animated film. By introducing a new villain with a different backstory and motivations, the adaptation could appeal to both longtime fans and newcomers to the Batman universe. By introducing us to seemingly a new villain, but also one we're very familiar with, this adaptation could appeal to both longtime fans and newcomers to the Batman universe, offering a more streamlined and accessible story. And also the identity reveal does kind of make sense this way, rather than an old friend appearing in Bruce Wayne's life at the exact same time that a new villain appears. I mean, come on, it's obvious. But the alteration on Hush's identity also has a significant impact on the storyline and thematic elements of the narrative. Like I've said, in the original comic books, Hush is revealed to be Thomas Elliot, a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne who harbours a deep-seated resentment towards him. This revelation not only adds emotional weight to the conflict between Batman and Hush, but also explores themes of betrayal, jealousy, and the complexities of identity. In contrast to this, the animated adaptation introduces the Riddler as the mastermind behind the Hush persona. This change alters the dynamic between Batman and the villain, shifting the focus away from a personal vendetta and towards a more traditional hero versus villain confrontation. Additionally, the thematic depth of the original storyline is somewhat diluted by the substitution of the Riddler, as his motivations are more aligned with his traditional role as a cunning and enigmatic adversary rather than a deeply personal antagonist. The decision to change the identity received mixed reactions from fans and critics. While some appreciated the element of surprise and the opportunity to explore the new interpretation of the story, others felt that the alteration detracted from the emotional resonance and complexity of the original narrative. The absence of Thomas Elliot as Hush in the animated adaptation was particularly disappointing for fans who admired the character's intricate backstory and psychological depth. To research this video, I've actually been looking into old posts on old forums and Reddit from when this movie came out, and one of the bigger complaints is about the substitution of Riddler being the main villain, raising questions about the feasibility of his involvement in orchestrating this elaborate scheme depicted in the storyline. Some posts were even saying that they felt the Riddler's motivations and capabilities were not sufficient enough to justify his role as the mastermind behind Hush, leading to criticisms of the adaptation's pacing and plot coherence, which, let's be honest, is silly. He's the mastermind in the original, and orchestrating other people to do things is probably a lot more complicated than just doing it yourself. So, credit where credit's due, I guess. So, to sort of conclude, the changes made to the identity of the villain in the animated adaptation of Hush sparked debate and controversy within the fan community. While the alteration provided a fresh take on the classic storyline and introduced new elements to the narrative, it also diverged significantly from the source material, resulting in mixed reactions from audiences. Ultimately, whether change was better or worse than the original storyline is a matter of personal interpretation, with some viewers appreciating the novelty of the adaptation and others lamenting the absence of the beloved character of Thomas Elliot as Hush. So with all that being said, what is my personal opinion on the change? Well, when I first watched this movie, it was a huge shock, a twist that I did not see coming, so props for that I suppose. But then, after letting it all sink in, I was pretty annoyed. Hush was a character that I really enjoyed in the comic books. Yes, he was a very obvious villain, but so many of the bad guys in Gotham are just crazy people with vendettas against Batman. It was great to have a villain that had an emotional connection to Bruce Wayne. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the visual design of the character. Taking that away from him and just making it a different costume for the Riddler was quite insulting. So, if you want my honest opinion, it was a bad decision. A lot of the animated viewers don't read comics, so the Thomas Elliot reveal may have still been pretty shocking to a lot of them, who knows. But either way, you don't need a good twist to tell a good story. This story even works great if the audience knows the identity of Hush from the very beginning, but Batman doesn't, building tension for us whenever we see Bruce with Thomas. There is always more than one way to tell a story, but the spine of Hush was absolutely fine how it was and did not need to be changed like this. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Let me know your thoughts on this change in the comments down below. Is it for the better or not? And what do you think of the character of Hush in general? Let me know. That's it for me today, my friends. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy what you've seen, and don't forget to return to the Batcave for more Bat content.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. Fear. I'm vengeance.